Okay, so now we're gonna do something really fun. We're gonna do a blue smoky eye. That could get really tricky, so we're gonna do a really simple one. We might punch it up later to show you like a little drama for the red carpet, but for now we're gonna keep it simple. And so for Hitomi today, she has like a monolid. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just contour it just a little bit with like a nude natural color, just to define her eye a little more, sculpt the shape into it. So I'm going to start out with like a fluffy brush, something with really loose, soft bristles. And I'm going to use circular motions. And I'm just kind of washing it over the lid onto the crease. When I'm getting to the back corners, I'm blending inward and upward. So as you can see, there's already a difference. Her eye is already pulling in closer to the center. So I'm going to concentrate a little bit extra color on these back corners here, because I know that I'm gonna want this to be really defined. And then once we have the placement exactly where we want it and we can actually see a defined shape in the eye, we're gonna prime the eye with liner before we add the shadow. So I'm choosing to use like a bluish gray pencil, and I have a smudge brush really handy. I'm gonna keep it in my hand at the same time, because a lot of times what happens is when you prime the eye either with a primer or a liner, it'll set really fast and then you'll have this harsh line of demarcation that you can't get out. I'm sure that's happened to some of y'all. So the way to prevent that is to just be ready and have your smudge brush in hand, ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to line her eye right at the lash line, right at the base. We don't want to see any skin, no pink, no flesh colors poking in. We're going to put this right into the lash line, almost right on the hair. If you get a little bit on the bottom, it's okay, because we're smoking out the whole lid. Immediately taking my smudge brush and smudging that line out. So I'm keeping it really close to the lash line. And then I'm just gonna take the brush and start pushing that color up just a little bit from where we placed it. Because if you think about it, a smoky eye, the reason why they call it a smoky eye is if you think of a poof of smoke is gonna be dark on the base, and then it's gonna eventually dissipate to like a lighter color. And then I'm gonna take a little bit of a wider smudge brush and push it up even more. The pointier one is to kind of define. The wider one is just going to be more for blending. And again, this step does not have to be perfect, because we're going to cover that. And I want it to be a little bit higher, so I'm going to make my line just a teensy bit wider and then push it up. And that's why it's always good to start out with less product, because you can always apply more, just like I'm doing now. You want to make sure that the pencil you use when you do the bottom line is something that sets really well. And you're just going to line just under the waterline in the back corners, allow it to meet right at the lash line, then immediately taking our defining smudge brush and then pushing the rest of the color towards the other half of the bottom of the waterline. And then always going upward in these back corners. What I'm gonna do now is we're gonna add our royal blue color to it. And what's gonna happen is just gonna make her eye look bigger, brighter, bolder, and it won't disappear when she opens. So this is a good trick for like a monolid. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take concealer, just so that you can know where to stop. It would normally be an imaginary line, but we're just creating this so that we can catch fallout and so that we don't go outside of this line. So now that we've added a little concealer to catch the fallout, I'm going to take my blue eyeshadow, whatever choice color blue you want to do. We're doing like a royal blue, maybe with a little teal in it. We're going to play around and see what we like. But I'm actually putting a generous amount of color on my brush. I'm going to tap it off. I'm going to actually press this color right into her lash line. Tapping around, then taking our blending brush with the fluffier bristles and just kind of washing that line off. And then I'm going to add a little more. You just kind of keep adding where if you see like little splotchy holes like that, just cover those up. Add a little bit more product and blend upward. Again, making sure that the base of the eye is really deep and dark. Center is a little softer until you get to the top to where it dissipates completely. So before I go in and finish this right eye, I just want you to see that either shape is really nice. This is gonna be a more washed over the lid smoky eye, and this one is more of a lash line smoky eye. It's always good to take a painting class or a drawing class that's gonna teach you color composition. It's going to teach you shading and blending. It's going to basically put you a little bit over the edge of everybody else because you're going to know why you're doing what you're doing. So I'm going to take the tip of our flat brush into the color, tapping it off, and I'm going to press that color right into that lash line. Again, only going halfway across and immediately smudging it across. And it's the same concept. Lash line, the color is really, really bold and dark, and then as you can see, it gets softer until it just completely dissipates. Okay, so now that we have the blue smoky shape the way that we like it, I want to just open up the corners of her eyes a little bit more, and I'm going to mix a couple of colors. I'm going to take this icy blue color with a small brush so that we can define and get right in those corners. I'm gonna have her stay open, and I'm just going across the top and bottom corners here. So then I'm just gonna take a little dab of this shimmer blue and then dab it right on top of the ice blue. That's gonna bring us back into the same color range that we were already in. So if you look at the difference between these two eyes, this eye actually looks a little bit larger with these two highlights, with this extended out and with the highlight in the very front. So now we're gonna take that same blue shimmer color that we popped right here. We're gonna get a little bit of that on this eyeshadow brush. These bristles are fluffier but still somewhat tight. Tapping off the excess color, and then we're gonna dab it right in the center of her lid. Taking that same shadow brush, wiping off the excess color, and then just dusting the edges. So I'm gonna use this black jumbo eyeliner just because it's like a really creamy, rich color. It goes on really bold, and that's what we want. You don't want to tug on your eye too much, but because this is a jumbo liner, we do have to open the eye just a little bit. I'm going to gently press her eye here, and we're going to sweep this all the way across the waterline. So what happens is that black eyeliner kind of smudges into the blue, which is perfect. Now you just take your smudge brush and you just wipe that across, always starting from this back corner and going in and washing across to the inner corner of the eye. Another trick, some people, their eyes are sensitive, so you might start watering if you try to line the top inner water line of your eye. So what you could do is just squint your eyes like this, not too hard, but squinch them, and it gets the color on the top and the bottom. I want it to be a really bold top waterline. So I'm gonna have her look into this inner corner. Once I get halfway, I'm gonna tell her to look that way. I'm gonna do this front inner corner. And you wanna try to do this quickly because this is somewhat uncomfortable. And see how that just kind of made the look even more intense. If you remember in the beginning, we added concealer all under here. I put it on kind of thick so that I could take this wet wipe, which is just a simple makeup remover wipe, and I'm just gonna dab that color up. I'd rather wipe the color off and start over with the concealer as opposed to having so much product there trying to blend it through, because then you'll get like that gray concealer look. So I'm going to take her foundation sponge and start out with foundation first. Just reapplying to these areas. Being careful not to go over our blue. Then we're going to take our smudge brush and we're going to blend it in a little bit. Again, making that last line just kind of dissipate away. Going to reapply the concealer. Again, just under the blue line. Not on it, just underneath it. And I'm just gently dabbing and blending this concealer through. Voila.